Well, hello there and welcome to another video. Tonight, I had planned to do the Q&A session with you guys and to answer all your questions, but turns out that you have been congratulating me more than asking me. So, remember there's a Q&A session coming up, so any questions you want to ask me, put them in the comment section below and I'll try to answer them all. Another thing is, as I announced it yesterday in the 1000 subscriber video, there's going to be a contest about the best video you can send me from a battle of tier 6 or below. I didn't put a deadline. Now I'm going to do it. It's going to be the end of the month. So deadline is 12 o'clock in the night. Well, I guess I can accept something when I wake up, so different time zones are not going to be an issue. But by the 31 of March, I want to have all the videos for start reviewing them and start deciding on what I'm going to go with for the winner, second and third place. And finally, the core of this video is that there has been an Q&A session with the developers of War Thunder in TeamSpeak, and I've been there, and it has been an incredible experience, I can tell you that. The Q&A has lasted for longer than 4 hours, and at this same moment I'm making this commentary, they still are going on. I mean, not really in an official way, but they are still talking with the community guys who are there. They are talking with the player base, they are answering questions, and they are explaining their point of view. Let me tell you something about this. I don't know what is the average experience you guys have in online gaming. Myself, I've been in online gaming for 14 years now, and of course most of it has been based around simulators: airplane simulators, tank simulators, submarine simulators, naval simulators, etc. I can tell you, in 14 years I have never ever seen a Q&A like today's. There has been not a single question turned down as inconvenient or imprudent. Not a single participant has been turned down or told to fuck off, which I have seen in other Q&A sessions with other developers. I have never seen anyone so faithfully answering all the questions they were asking, and they were asked, and I mean it, and this is pretty much a big deal for me. One of the things, if you have been a subscriber for a long time, is that I had a lot of reservations about Gaijin. Why? Because 14 years of bad experiences with developers, and especially with wargaming, have made me very, very, very scared about what could happen with a bad developer team. I can tell you this, at least from the side of attention to the community, they are amazing. So I think I'm not going to put a single bad word about Gaijin anymore, because today they really impressed me. But about the real stuff, about what was said in that Q&A, there has been a lot of topics visited, of course, because there have been a lot of questions. 4 hours and then some. It's been a lot. The first thing, and probably the thing that most bothers you right now with the new patch 1.29, is economy. What they have been asked a lot of questions about economy, and the answer has been they are looking into it, and they are going to modify it, and they are going to change it. So don't bother about the thing like it is right now, because it's going to change, and it's going to change for the better. Incomes probably are going to go high, and things will get much better in the future. Another thing you want to focus and remember is that this is a beta. this is a beta, and they have to try new things, and they have to try very sharp change now and then and check up their results, because in the future there's going to be a fourth game mode, which is going to be called World War, and where all the stuff in the game is going to get integrated. You'll get ships, you'll get tanks, you'll get planes, all in the same game mode. And of course, maybe the incomes right now just for planes are reduced, but in the future, when they are tanks and ships and you are going to get a lot more money for a lot more reasons and the incomes are going to be much higher, they want to take a look at how they want to develop the economy for that mode. And in order to do that, they have to do this here and now in the beta. And of course, that means that right now you might think that you are receiving very few money for what you are getting in battle. But that's going to get changed, and that's going to be balanced, because they themselves admit that the economy right now is not working the way it should. It's not balanced, it's not really good enough. And it's going to get changed. So just stay calm about it, because now I've had the chance to listen to them and their reasons. It all makes sense. It all really does make sense. There have been a lot of questions about the new game mode, which they couldn't actually ask because, of course, it's actually in development right now. They don't want anyone to copy their ideas. But for what I have gotten from what they explained, is going to be what I said: an integrated game mode with player-controlled tanks, ships, and airplanes. And it's going to be well balanced, and it's going to have a model, a flight model, and damage model, and well, it's going to be halfway between arcade battles and historical battles in what regards to simulation. So yeah, it sounds pretty good. They also say that they really wish they could go a little bit more realistic with it, but as it's going to be a massively played game mode with a lot of clans, a lot of newcomers, they can't really put it in too hard, because then no one would play it. So it's going to be halfway between arcade and historical battles. They didn't enter into specifics about exactly what's going to be more like arcade and what's going to be more like historical battles, but I can tell you from what I heard, it sounded amazing. More things about the new patch. Well, I mentioned it in my last video. 1.29 introduced a new damage model with new damage mechanics. If you had a very badly hit wing, for instance, that wing would stop making lift and would cause your plane to maneuver strangely, weird, and you'd have problems maneuvering properly with a very damaged plane. A lot of people have complained about this as making or putting realistic features in an arcade mode. Well, first of all, let me tell you, this is not realism in an arcade mode. It's common sense. Even in World of Tanks, if you get your ammo rack set up, you are going to shoot at half the speed you were able to do with an intact tank. If your vehicle is damaged, you have to notice some kind of reduction in performance and maneuverability, and not just reduction, but mishandling, because this is, even in arcade, this is an arcade flight simulator. In arcade, in full realism, it's a flight simulator, but even in arcade, it's a warplane game. And as such, you can't really expect your planes to behave like an X-wing or a TIE fighter. They are going to behave more or less like historical planes. They are not going to be realistic in any way, but they are going to resemble, at least to some point, historical planes. And as such, we are not speaking about introducing realistic effects into arcade. We are not talking about arcade being turned into historical battles light, because it's not that. It's just adding common sense into a game mode, which is okay, it's arcade, but even in arcade, it's about warplanes. So you want them to more or less, to a point, handle like warplanes, not I don't know, not Vipers from Battlestar Galactica. They were asked a lot about this. They were asked a lot about arcade and if it was going to be realistic, if it was going to be realistic, if people want them to be like Call of Duty, whatever. The official word I got from the question and answer session is that arcade mode is about warplanes. It's going to be relaxed realism. It's not going to be realistic by any extent of the word, but it's going to resemble World War II air combat. Why? Because this is a World War II air combat game, so it has to do that. It has to be that way. As for people saying that they would like planes to behave historically, they said and they answered that, well, if you want to play starships, Gaijin does have a starship game, so go play that, because this is War Thunder. This has planes. Planes are going to handle like planes. What does it mean? Well, there's nothing said about it. They didn't answer the question because they didn't know. But most probably than not, damage mechanics to a point, maybe not as hard as when 1.29 was introduced. Probably they are going to make a comeback. Up to which point, I don't really know. So that's very good news. And also their stance on arcade is very good news. Their stance on arcade is as follows. War Thunder is intended to be a simulator with airplanes, tanks, and ships. But of course, they understand not everyone wants to play a simulator. So they are adding arcade modes, relaxed realism modes of the game for those people who don't want to deal with realism. But they are also making sure that even the arcade modes are a good learning tool for the moment the player wants to move into something else. Maybe the future World War mode, maybe historical battles. A total newcomer who knows nothing about air combat is going to go to arcade, and their intention is for arcade to at least make him familiar with how real air combat in World War II worked, to get them ready for historical battles and for World War. So arcade is going to stay arcade, but it's going to have some features that will make it resemble true World War II air combat, which is fantastic news, at least for me. I do think that's the most amazing thing, because even in arcade with the proper damage mechanics, and we saw that with 1.29 when it was released, for a day people really cared about not being hit. So people started looking around, people started working in the situation awareness, people started working in teams, and people actually stopped the constant crappy head-on mindless flying that you see in arcade day after day. Everyone goes for the head-on, everyone. After that patch they didn't. Why? Because after that patch in a head-on, even if they got moderately hit, they will have to return to base because the plane will have problems fighting. So people simply stopped doing head-ons, and that's a very, very, very good feature. By the way, speaking about realism, there has been a lot of complaining in the forums about Japanese planes being shit in 1.29. Well, look at the video, it's a good instant of how shitty they are. They are amazing. They simply roll. The zeros have their roll rate fixed. They rolled too fast before, and now they roll like they should. So yeah, it's harder to do well in them, but still you can do amazing. But whatever. Back to the Q&A. Another thing about tanks and warships and new coming features. War mode is going to be the integration of all the vehicles, but each kind of vehicle is going to have its own setup of modes. For instance, warplanes right now have arcade, historical battle, and for real. Tanks are going to have arcade mode, historical battles, and full real. And warships are going to have arcade, historical battles, and full real as well. So that's a very good information, because I didn't really know whether tanks and warships would make it into war mode only. So that's the good news. Another thing that was addressed in the Q&A thing. Well, a lot of you guys know that there's a lot of accusations about Gaijin being biased, the developer team being biased, and for instance, Russian planes having a level spread that put very good planes at very low levels. For instance, the WWII for a level 3 is a ridiculous plane, a ridiculously good plane. Well, they were asked about this, and they were asked as well about the 109 E3 being level 6, while the Spitfire 1 is level 4. They answered that the problem right now is that there are not enough models in the game. It's as simple as that, and for getting more or less working trees in the game, they had to do it this way. They had to put the spreads like they are right now, but that in the future, with more than 120 planes incoming, new models, there will be enough to do a complete redistribution of levels, and then they'll try to put the best balance based both in gear and in actual plane performance. So they are perfectly balanced in the level they belong to, and they compare, at least they have a fighting chance about the planes on the same levels. And that's a fantastic news as well. Why? Because that means that in the future probably we'll see a lower level 109 E3, or at least a 109 E3 leveled with actual historical counterparts. And that's something that right now there isn't in the game, and there are a lot of complaints about that, and it's causing a lot, and I can tell you, a lot of complaints in the forums. And also, I think the problem with this is that people are so used to bullshit developers that when for the first time we have a real decent group of developers, but they have to be fighting off bias accusations, not caring about the community accusations, because we expect them to be as shitty as every other developer in the multiplayer online gaming has been until now. And I can tell you this just by seeing the Q&A session, and just by hearing them, how passionate they are about the game, how passionate to know about the historic and about their past, about how did they reach to be here, what was the path they followed to be now developing a game like War Thunder. It was enlightening. Also, the way they treated all of us, the way they treated all of the questions, it was amazing. Amazing to the point that it wasn't really that amazing. I didn't expect them to be so open, so passionate. I mean, they answered everyone's questions from both sides. People were asking about full realism, about the intended plans for arcade, about the intended plans for historical battles. And they were not saying, no, that question is worthless, or no, that question is whatever. When someone touched the subject about Soviet planes having very good planes at very low levels, they simply said, yeah, it's true, they do. And German planes up to level 6, level fighters, are lacking a lot, because Henkels 112 are not good enough to go head-on against a Spitfire 1 or a Lagi 3. But the problem is that right now, in beta, and remember, we are in beta, we don't have any more tools to make German low-level tiers from 1 to 4. We can't really put the E3 down at level 4, because then the upper levels would be way too spread. So in order to do a proper level spread for planes, to everyone have at least a plane its couple levels, what to do is this way. And that they intend to level it and balance it in the future, which is, as I said, a great news. Also, there's a very big thing I want to say here. I have seen, and actually to a point I also thought, I have to confess I'm guilty of it, because I'm used to what I'm used. I'm used to wargamings, I'm used to Oleg Madoseks, I'm used to that kind of guys. There are a lot of threads in the forums which simply say that the developers simply don't bother reading the forums, that they don't care, that they only tend to the Russian community. I can tell you it's not true. Why? Because I'm just out of a Q&A session that's all the opposite from that. 4 hours of answering questions and a further maybe hour and a half of chatting with us, and also answering more questions that were incoming. So just forget about it. This team really seems, of course, you can never really put your hand in the fire for everyone. But from what everything I have seen and the experience I have in the gaming industry, 14 years of online gaming, I can tell I have never seen something like this. They did know about all the posts in the forums, all of them, all the complaints that were going on, all the arguments that were going on, and of course, one of the most important things they told, and the thing that sold me into them, and that's why I'm so positive right now in this video. They said that if you want something changed, argue for it, but don't cry, don't whine, because if you start saying like this thing sucks, I quit, I'm going away, if you don't change this I'm going to stop paying and leaving this game, well, what they said is that, well, if people are going to go that route, okay, go away, quit the game. There are maybe 35,000 people in the servers right now playing the game, so one less is not going to hurt us. Why? Because what they want is constructive criticism. What they want is something, suggestions, doing like suggestions, and then they will take them in account. Doesn't mean that they will follow them, but at least they take them in account. They try to understand where people are coming from, and in the way they can to try to put them into the game if they have a place into the game. If they don't, they won't. But it's as simple as that. So that's something very positive about this, because you know that I actually accusated them of bowing down to the flock, to the winning flock, a couple times in the past. And I mean, I'm guilty again. I have to confess. I'm so used to wargamings and Oleg Madosecs and guys like those that I was expecting that from them. And when something happened without a proper explanation, because I didn't know why it did happen, I just went nuts and started saying, well, these guys are just another wargaming. Well, turns out it's not true. Turns out it's not true. I'm guilty as charged, so well. More things about the Q&A. The bottom point here is that the it's a beta argument is not an excuse. I mean, until now I had my reserves about that. Guilty as charged again. But with information they put up about what's there in the future for War Thunder, what's in the works for the future, and why they are doing what they are doing. Yeah, it's a beta. They are right. The economy changes, which are probably the thing that most are turning you down. Just hold fast. Just stay there. Just don't get mad because one patch or update seems to make things just too bad. Because what they are doing is to try new things, try new approaches. And also what they are trying is to get some early information about the new game mode before it's actually there. So just stay there, hold fast, and trust them, because believe me, the problem with me and this game until now, it was that I didn't really trust them. Because, as I said, 14 years of game developers being shit has gotten me ready for the next one being exactly as shit as the previous one. So I'm just suspicious. I was totally suspicious. So, and most of you guys are as well. But what I've seen seems like these guys can actually be trusted. I mean, The thing is, right now is a beta. Things are planned to fall down on place on the future when all the features are implemented. And their stated desire and their stated goal is to make a game that lasts for maybe 10-15 years. So and to blow apart anyone expectations, and to do it so good that people remain loyal to it because it's so damn good that it's going to be fun for a long time to come. And the way they handled the questions, the way they asked it, it was just simply amazing. So yeah, just don't freak out about its hotfix or its release. Again, I'm guilty as charged because I have done so. Just keep in mind that they have to try very different things, and they have to put them in place for a long time to just get results back. For instance, the new economy model, it was placed with the new release, and they say that in order for that for the economy as it is right now to deliver proper information for them to extract conclusions and to help them balancing the game in the end, they have to keep it running for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, even a month to get enough statistical data out of it and to extract conclusions. So it may be like things are going to stay like this for a while, but it's going to get changed and it's going to be better and the future is going to be brighter. So just don't freak about that singular issue. As for other things, well, there have been a lot of ideas, very good ideas, being thrown around for different game modes. There have been a lot of questions about bugs, and another thing I want to mention, because this I have been asked and I really didn't know. They stated that in the future they intend to make tools for skinning planes, for making clan tags to put on the planes and the vehicles, because well, when that happens, it's going to be like quite in the future. They also said it's not high in the priority list. There are a lot of things to get done before that, but that they want to do that. So in the future, you can expect War Thunder to have tools for people to make their own skins and to put them on their planes, which is a very nice feature, to be honest. Another thing they were asked is that, well, I touched it before, I'm going to touch it again, whether all the planes are going to be modeled about their historical counterparts even in arcade. This was asked because of the changes on the LA5 and the changes on the P4E and the Boo Fighter, and the answer was that yes, that even in arcade planes will have performances close to reality, and the way they maneuver will resemble the historical counterparts. Because again, what they are intending to do here is a game about warplanes, and that if anyone wants to fly and to try again about flying things that behave like unnaturally, they have a pretty good spaceship game to try out in Gaijin. So yes, expect planes to be introduced and modified and modeled after their historical counterparts, with their strong points and their weak points. So if a plane rolled bad in reality, it's going to roll bad even in arcade. Arcade what has, and they have explained it pretty well, has a boosted control system that allows for a whole plane to be controlled with just a mouse and a couple keys. It has very, very unrealistic handling in some extents of the envelope. For instance, you can't really go up like an helicopter and hang on your prop, and your plane is going to stay up like that for a good while, and that doesn't happen in real life. So basically, what arcade is going to be is like a relaxed realism mode where people can have some very fast fun And as such, it's going to have, well, that relaxed realism is going to have boosted controls. It's going to have a lot of things that it has currently now, but it's also focused into being something that get people ready for historical battles or world war, that kind of thing. So it's not going to be realistic. That is going to have some historical touches that make the fights in it believable, and that which it's going to be a mode that helps people just really learning the proper tools to do well in more advanced modes. It's just that. It's just that. So I'm very happy with that. So, well, there were a lot of more things done and said during the Q&A, but those are the most important parts. And also, I mean, it's been half an hour of video, so I think it's enough for now. Remember, Q&A tomorrow, so any question you want to make me, put it in the description below, in the commentary section below. And also, remember, deadline for the contest is going to be the 31st of March. So send me your replays and also the screenshots with the results. The email is going to be in the description below. So well, yeah, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked to know what's in store for the future of War Thunder according to their developers, and I hope you like the gameplay as well. Anything you want to tell me in the comment section below. Remember, questions for the question and answer session tomorrow. If you like this video, please give me the thumbs up, and if you haven't done so yet and you want to see more of this incoming, well, subscribe. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and see you later.
Victory is ours. Let's go home.